Hi guys, today we're taking a look at a Mercury II. I paid $45 for this. When they were new, they only cost $82.90. This one's in good condition. On eBay, these are worth about $70. The personal significance is it's just a way cool looking camera, but it's a half frame with a rotary shutter, and it's quite the fascinating camera. These were made from 1945 for several years. I don't know when it ended. They were made by the Universal Camera Corporation in the good old USA. It features this unique rotary shutter, and that's the reason for the big hump here, even though they used it to put depth of field scales on both sides of it. At the time, this rotary shutter was one of the first, if not the first, reliable way of having shutter speeds up to 1/1000th of a second. It also has interchangeable lenses, and you could order it with different lenses. On the camera top, we've got a rewind knob, a cold shoe, and a hot shoe. The hot shoe was probably one of the first hot shoes around. There's your shutter release button, and then a cable release socket right next to that. Pretty cool looking camera. On the back, just a second, on the camera front, again, we have our depth of focus scale. This is an exposure counter dial, and it counts up to 65, it looks like, because it's a half frame camera, so you can get a lot of exposures on a single roll of 35mm film. This is the shutter wind knob. This is the shutter speed dial. The viewfinder is just a straight through viewfinder. You have to focus by distance scale. You don't have a rangefinder built into here. This is the rewind release knob. You have to turn it to the rewind position to get the film out, and we'll try that in a minute. I've never loaded and unloaded film till today. We'll see. Here's the focusing distance scale with a marker at the top. And here's a lever to do your focusing. And this one turns, I'll say difficultly, but it turns. But they're clearly labeled. It also says Universal, New York, New York, made in the USA. And this particular lens is a 35mm f2.7. And like I said, it's removable. So you just turn that black knob, the knurled knob in the far back, all the way out. Screw mount, I have no idea what thread size it is, but that's the lens. And you can peek inside and be fascinated by the rotary shutter. When you mount that lens, you want to, once you get it seated, you want to give it a nice tug so that you can, when you change the aperture ring here, that it's not difficult to move. And it goes from f11, oops, I don't know where the indicator is, f2.7 to f22. And you can look right down the throat of the lens and see the setting. On the right side, we just have the hinge, or the left side, and on the other side, we have the door hinge. The door, where you open the door, there's a little protrusion there so you can get your finger and catch it. On the camera back, we have the viewfinder window, another depth of field scale, and there's your serial number. This is a wheel you can change to be your film reminder window. I'll put it on color 65, like I know what that meant. Early on, when Universal made these cameras, the version before this, they took special film holders. So they didn't use regular, it was 35mm film, but they had their own holders, not the standard packs. This one has standard packs. This is the exposure calculator dial. Now here's your chance. you can pause here to try and figure out this Mercury II calculator. It's obvious that once you know the time of day, whether it's summer or winter, and the film speed, and gosh, there's 2x and 4x powers, and it makes you appreciate the value of a light meter. In the lower left, at about the 7 o'clock position, there's a little tab sticking up. You can push that with your finger and spin it around. So it really is sort of a circular slide rule. I suppose early on, some photographers could probably figure that out, but I would just look at my exposure meter and use it. And finally, on the bottom, we have a rewind button and a 1/4-20 tripod socket. So let's see if we can load this thing. I shouldn't say it. This is not the rewind, this is the button to release the back. It just clicks up. So here's a fresh, not fresh, here's an old roll of film that we use for demo purposes. And I think we're rolling. And again, it's a half frame camera. The viewfinder is a tiny little hole in the back and a not very big hole in the front. And there's some marks for parallax error if you ever get that close to something. But again, you have to focus by calculating the range. So this advances the film and cocks the shutter. And right now we're set at, it says B mode. No, it's not. You have to see it after you cock it. Right now it's set at a 300th of a second. And each time I do that, it should be advancing the film in the camera as well. Now if I want to change it to another speed, you have to push in and turn it, so I'll turn it to 100th of a second. And let me try change it to some slower speed. I'll try that again. I'm going to go back down to a 20th. Now it's repeating like it should. My error. Cock it first before you set the shutter speed. So now I'll go back to 1,000th of a second. And let me go to the T mode if it lets me. I guess I got to go the other way around. There's T mode. So let's see if we can look at the back and see any of that happening. So again, we'll open the back. Now, of course, you want to rewind your film before you do any of this stuff, but so it has been advancing the film a little, but remember, these are half-frame pictures. So I'll just take this out. And we can take a look at the rotary shutter in action. Right now we think we're in T mode. And indeed, you can see that the lens is open. And I press it again. And let me go into bulb mode. And it lets go when I do, just like it should. It actually works good if I just wasn't so clumsy. If you noticed while we were changing shutter speeds that the dial always rotated at the very same speed. That's the beauty of this system, is because they don't have to have a variable escapement mechanism for each shutter speed. All they do is change the shape of the size of the pie shape that goes past the lens on the rotary. So it always spins at the same speed, and the narrowest opening gives you 1/1000th of a second. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video.